Welcome back to this week's episode of Modern Tech and Transformation. I'm Carla Hartman, back with Michael Brown, and as promised, we are going to talk about some cloud myths. So, Michael, you ready?
I'll give it a shot.
And you want to talk a little bit about your cloud background before we jump in? I know we've probably talked about it before, but...
Sure. So I guess I've been the leader of the cloud team here at RTS for almost 2 years now. And prior to that, I spent about 5.5 years as a cloud architect at AWS at Amazon. And then prior to that, I actually worked for Savvis and CenturyLink on their managed services and cloud team.
Okay.
So been doing it a little while, but there's still always something to learn, right? It's always every day.
All right, so we have the right person to debunk some of these myths, I think. He has quite a bit of experience. Myth number 1, the cloud isn't secure. What do you think of that?
That's false. That is definitely false. The cloud is very secure. What is not secure is the behavior of people.
Okay.
And so what you'll find is I'm certain I'm certain that there are vulnerabilities, but let's think about this. And I've not seen this, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But if you go to the Amazons and the Azures and the Googles, we have not seen an exploit of their underlying infrastructure, right?
Okay.
That would mean insecurity. Like if somebody were able to bypass the controls and the security of the cloud and gain access to customer data and customer information, that would mean the cloud is insecure. I don't think that that's happened. I'm not aware of anything like that ever happening.
Me either.
Because that would be catastrophic.
Oh.
Like that cloud vendor would be over at that point. So when somebody says the cloud is not secure, what they may be referring to and what it really means is that there are times people make mistakes, right? They make a change in a configuration that might have a broader scope than they intended, that might have a more open security policy that they intended, and those credentials or that scope was exploited, right? And they got access to some files, they got access to some data, and that's where people find difficulty in the cloud. And what's interesting, though, is the cloud platforms give you the tools to check that. They give you the tools to kind of, you do the configuration and you monitor it, and then you can close the loop to make sure that what you did is accurate. And so what's interesting is they give you the tools to be careful and to make sure you're doing the right thing, but still mistakes can be made.
Is there a difference in the security between public and private cloud, you think?
Public and private cloud. So I'll answer that question by saying, so private cloud meaning your infrastructure in a data center, right? I think it's the same problems both ways.
Okay.
But I think in a private cloud, you have less resources and capabilities of the cloud than the public cloud has. So when you go to an Amazon or an Azure, they have hundreds of security certifications. And you dig into those security certifications and those regulatory certifications, and it gives you what they're responsible for and what you're responsible for, right? It walks you through that. There's so many new tools and services and capabilities on these cloud platforms that help you secure your platform, from everything from encryption of storage, encryption in network traffic, to automatically rotating your passwords and your certificates, like monitoring logins and monitoring data coming out. So I think between public and private cloud, the public cloud is more secure simply because you have more opportunity to protect yourself, versus in a private cloud, you have to do that all yourself.
Okay, that's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah.
But myth number 1, debunked, the cloud is secure. So if you move your infrastructure, which you should, because with AI, well, not in all cases you should. I take that back.
Yeah.
But with AI, the volumes of data, the cloud is going to be an infrastructure that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So myth number 2, the cloud is cheaper than on-premise.
The cloud can be cheaper in certain circumstances. Really what you're looking for is if you've got infrastructure that's that you're already paying for, it's already paid for. I don't see how the cloud can be cheaper than something that you've already written off on the books. Where people get in trouble is they look at the cloud possibly and go, I want to save money on what I'm paying month to month on infrastructure. If your infrastructure is static and your software is static and you're not really doing many changes, I'll be honest, the cloud will have a hard time really competing with something you've written off on the books and that's operating effectively for you, right? Where the cloud is cheaper is when it comes to opportunity costs. Infrastructure cost plus opportunity cost makes the cloud way cheaper. Simply because, especially as we went through COVID and as we went through, all the changes that we've seen, the supply chains dried up. The idea of getting a server in less than a year and a half was insane, right? So the opportunity cost of going to the cloud, they had the servers, they had the infrastructure, they had the storage, and you could just you could get it and you could start working. And so I think that really tells the story of where cloud is cheaper, is being able to act on your business opportunities, being able to act on getting the infrastructure and the services necessary to enable your business or your customers to do what they need to do.
Okay, so myth number 2, that the cloud is cheaper, can be true.
That's right.
In some situations. So that is not false. Myth number 3, all cloud providers are the same. We can use any of them.
Yeah, I've got a lot of strong opinions. I'm going to use my architect answer. It depends. So the clouds are not the same. We see that, can you run basic workloads on all clouds? Yes. Can you store files on all clouds? Yes, right? So the basic compute, storage, networking, and security is present in all clouds. What we do see is like there's certain maturity levels in some clouds that are way further along than other clouds. I don't want to name any names, right? Because we use all of them, right? And we make projects work in all of them. But what I will say is all the clouds are not the same. Like, they are not the same. And it's not, and there's not one that just is always better. What we find is there's a lot of maturity, say, in Amazon, right? There's a lot of things that's well thought out, well used, easy or more capable to configure. In Azure, we see there's a lot of great tools, and Microsoft does a really good job with the interface to be able to enable AI and data and analytics, right? They give you a lot of tools in the Azure platform. And Google, with their BigQuery platform, data and analytics and machine learning, they just got a lot of really great tools to be able to put to work. And so, when a customer goes, which cloud should I pick? It's, we really like to go through a cloud readiness assessment and understand the technology stack that they're already using, what people are comfortable with, understanding, where they're located and compare that to the regions of the clouds. Like we kind of look at a lot of that, and then we can recommend, what we would think would be a good cloud option. But yeah, they are not all the same.
So that is false. Clouds are not all the same. He said it here. And we do assess our clients at Resolve Tech Solutions on the best for their brand and their organization, and it's not one size fits all. Myth number 4, the cloud is not reliable.
So my time at AWS, one of the mantras was everything fails all the time, with a period. Everything fails all the time. So you have to prepare for that. So if you say clouds are not reliable, it's you're not taking into the fact that everything fails all the time. And so if you're just relying on a single thing in one location, that's unreliable too. So clouds are very reliable, and they give you the tools to be able to build highly reliable, highly available, redundant architectures, right? Within one region, within multiple regions. And so I would say that is false, simply because of the level of options and capabilities that all three cloud providers have. You can build highly reliable, available, and redundant architectures.
All right, and last myth that we've heard, and this is for organizations, I think, that are just starting their digital maturity, the cloud's only for storage. Is that true?
It's good for storage.
I agree.
It's really good for storage. You can store a lot of data in the cloud.
Anyone with a Google account or iPhone, you're storing a lot of stuff probably in the cloud.
Yeah. I use Google and OneDrive. Like I use them both. But I think you're missing a lot of opportunity if you're just storing data in the cloud or storing files in the cloud. Especially with the technologies that the cloud providers are bringing now, with being able to tie the large language models like ChatGPT in with your own data, right? So that would mean that it's better than more than just storage, right? I would love to be able to talk to my own files and ask questions about all the files that I have, ask questions about the quotes that I do, ask questions about the customer documents that I have, and have it respond to me. And so that's just the very first use case that I thought of, and then obviously all of the other infrastructure and use cases that come to bear. So in general, I'm going to say that one's false, right?
All right. Well, thank you, Michael, for shedding some light on cloud myths, and we'll be back next week to talk about large language models.